I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Here at Online Big Blue, New York Giants Straight Talk, we're always out of bubblegum. This is Tim. This is New York Giants Straight Talk, powered by Online Big Blue LLC. Want to talk about the game yesterday, of course. Want to talk about did Brian Daboll call the plays in the second half. Want to get into the Saquon Barkley injury and the fact that the Twitter sphere literally went nuts yesterday. And I love it because I watched the first half. And the Twitter sphere imploded. The Giant Twitter sphere. It was so funny. You would think it was doomsday all over again after 6 quarters. And I'm literally texting people saying, listen, it's only a half. Anything can happen in the second half. Let's not give up yet. It's still early. And people are like, well, this is so different from the Tim we know. Where's the negative Tim? No, this is the kinder, gentler Tim. And the fact that I've told everyone a million times, I go by what I see. And if I see something, I say it. If I see something good that's going to happen, I say it. If I see something bad that's going to happen, I say it. I even went on to the fourth quarter and posted, Mama said knock you out. And we're about to come back and win this game. Because it's the Arizona Cardinals. We weren't down 20 points to the Dallas Cowboys. We weren't down 20 points to the Kansas City Chiefs. We weren't down 20 points to the Philadelphia Eagles. This is the Arizona Cardinals. This is the team that's are trying to get the first overall pick next year. Not saying that they're in a tank, but when you start an astronaut and then you make the astronaut look like Johnny Unitas in the first half, you have a feeling the pendulum is going to swing the other way in the second half for the Giants. And that's why I kept telling people, relax. Even at 20-0, I kept telling people, relax. Just relax. It's the Arizona Cardinals. The Giants will find a way. And that's not just because I'm the kinder, gentler Tim. It was because of the fact that that's what I saw on the field. You saw the offensive line at times have the ability to move the Arizona Cardinals defensive line in the first half. You saw that. You also saw some breakdowns, but you saw they had that ability. You saw that there was some capability there. You saw that we had some guys open in the first half. We just missed them. And we just missed certain plays. So the question was going to be, were we going to find a way in the second half to turn around and find a way to come out there and really show Arizona what we could do? Now, when we went into halftime, I thought Brian Daboll was going to take over the play calling. I really did. And then I know Brian Daboll came out and after the game, after the big win, said this.
Did you call plays in the second half?
Nope.
You didn't?
Nope.
Did you change anything about that process offensively, like how you and Mike were?
No, we always communicate like that. Yeah. So I always have a sheet with me. But Mike did a fantastic job. I communicate with Mike. I communicate with T-Mac. I communicate with Wink. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brian. Here at Online Big Blue, we're calling bullshit. Bullshit. There was a different sense of urgency. There was a different type of play calling in that second half that we have not seen in the first, counting the 2 playoff games. I would say 19 games in 2 quarters. I know you're protecting your coordinator. I understand that. I get that wholeheartedly. And I know he's not going to come out and say, yes, I was calling the plays. I laugh at because he had the sheet. He had the offensive sheet. And at points and times in the game, he was covering his mouth with the offensive sheet, which usually means you are communicating with either the huddle or the offensive coordinator in the booth to let them know what play you're going to run. Now, we had 2 subscribers we actually had many subscribers at the game, but 2 of them DM'd me during and after the game. One was on the Giants sideline. He said he had a pretty good vantage point of Brian Daboll. And he said and the second subscriber was on the corner. I believe he said the corner of the Arizona sideline. I don't know Arizona Stadium, so I don't know exactly where it is, but they both said they had good vantage points of Brian Daboll. And they said both said multitudes of the times he was covering his mouth and looked like he was going through his sheet and he was calling the plays. I asked that question last night during my video because the fact that if you watched him on the sidelines, I've seen Brian Daboll now for all the preseasons, all last year, and I've seen him at times with the play sheet, but I've never seen, and like I said, when I'm normally at the Giant games, I'm behind the bench. And I'm behind the bench, and I have a pretty good vantage point of Brian Daboll. And the thing is, I have never seen Brian Daboll so in tune with that play sheet than I did yesterday. And the offensive philosophy in the second half went a total different direction. And luckily for us that it did, because of the fact it exploited the fact that they had some rookie corners over in Arizona. They had some injuries on the defensive line, and they attacked the defense where they needed to. They took deep shots. They tried to push the ball down the field, and that's what they did. And I also love it because the Daniel Jones Twitter sphere also imploded yesterday. Daniel Jones, for the first 6 quarters of the season, has been terrible. God awful. And now for 2 quarters, he played well. He played extremely well. Now, the Giant lovers, Daniel Jones lovers, I should say, we call them the Panty Boys, but the kind of gentler Tim wouldn't say that, disappeared for a week. And disappeared for the first 2 quarters of this game. And all of a sudden, now they're back out in force. We told you he was the franchise quarterback. Again, guys, he did this against Arizona. I'm not taking away anything that Daniel Jones did in this game, but you're looking at an Arizona team that maybe is 2 levels above a really good NCAA Division I football team. They're not a good team. They're just not. And Daniel Jones did what he needed to do. He effectively moved the ball down the field. The Giants used his legs when possible to move the ball down the field and gain positive yardage. And they created their own opportunities. He took his shots, the great pass to Jalen Hyatt. But if we want to be honest, if he led Jalen Hyatt a little bit more, that was 6. Hyatt had to come back for the ball. If he would have put the ball in the proper spot for Darius Slayton in that corner of that end zone, that's a touchdown. He had a couple other deep balls that he threw short. So anything you want to talk about that Daniel Jones did wonderfully, you also have to remember the fact that he did some things that still make you scratch your head. So I cannot sit there and tell you that I am taking 2 great quarters and negating the other 6 that I've seen so far out of the 8. And we always say this well, Daniel Jones plays well in the dome. Daniel Jones plays well on, like I said, when the dome is closed and the conditions are perfect, Daniel Jones always seems to play well. 1,000%. I've said that a million times. He should be in a dome stadium. But as soon as adversity hits in regards to the fact that the offensive line collapses or something goes wrong, he folds usually. He didn't do that yesterday, which was great. Which is what you want to see because you gave the guy $160 million. But I've said it a million times. Don't piss down my leg and tell me it's raining. Let's see consistency from Daniel Jones. Let's see consistency from the New York Giants offense. I love how everyone was firing Bobby Johnson on Twitter the other day. And now that the Giants made some moves and played a bad Arizona Cardinal team, Bobby Johnson's off the hook. But nobody's talking about the defensive line coach for the Giants. Where's Leonard Williams? Where's Dexter Lawrence? Where's Kayvon Thibodeau? Kayvon Thibodeau has been MIA for 8 quarters now. The Giants finally got the last 3 series. That's when the Giants finally got 3 and outs. They got the big 3 and out when they needed it. And that was in the 4th quarter. They finally got their 3 and out. But you also still have to look at the fact how many points you gave up to the Arizona Cardinals and an astronaut. I mean, that's what we have to look at, guys. It is a great win. It is one of the largest comeback wins in the New York Giants history in the last 75 years. I get that. I understand that. But you also have to look at the totality of the picture. And I know we don't like to do that on. We don't like to do that on the day after the win. That's why I didn't do this video then. But you got to look at the totality of this. We didn't beat. Like I said, we did not beat the Eagles. We didn't beat the Cowboys. We didn't come back and crush the 49ers. No. It was the Arizona Cardinals, guys. We should have won this game. This game should not have gone this way. I've said this before. This should have been a get ahead early, continuously score, hold on the ball, and then put your foot on the throat of the Arizona Cardinals and win. We should not had to have done this, but we did, which is beyond fantastic. Which was a great Giant win. This probably ranks up there, no matter who the competition is, in the annals of Giants history, is one, not history, but I would say in modern day history, one of the best wins the Giants, comeback win the Giants have ever had. You can't take that away from anyone. You can't say anything other than that for the New York Football Giants. And I love the fact that Brian Daboll is protecting Kafka. This is what I love about Brian Daboll. He protects his guys. Kafka's his guy, so he's gonna protect him as much as possible. You know, special teams coach really isn't his guy, but he protects his guys. The news on Saquon Barkley right now looks like they had an X-ray after the game. It looks like it's an ankle sprain, may not be a high ankle sprain. They're doing an MRI today. So we'll probably have a short video on that as well when that information comes out. We got a short week getting ready for the vaunted 49ers. I'm really curious to see how this game works out. I really am curious to see this. I also want to give a big shout out to a couple Giant players. Tay Banks actually played extremely. He played very well yesterday. He played for all 65 defensive snaps. Banks, McKinney, Adoree Jackson, and Bobby Okereke did not come off the field at all yesterday. They played every single defensive snap. It kind of reminds me of a few years back when you had the likes of Logan Ryan and Peppers and a few other, and Blake Martinez. When we had that fairly good defense, they never came off the field. It's kind of what you want to see. The Giants, if you looked at it, kind of did go more towards a big nickel. Especially in the second half. We really got to figure out this. We really got to figure out this pass rush. We really do. We are now 0 for 2 in games for not. We've been shut out now twice in a row for sacks. Yeah, I mean that we have zero pass rush. I did a video about Kayvon Thibodeaux a couple days ago saying, is he a bust? I'm not going to say he's a bust yet, but he is getting no pressure. If you actually watch the game yesterday, and I kind of focused on Kayvon a little bit, he's getting pushed to the outside. He is getting pushed to the outside on his outside rush. The tackle is literally moving him into a loop. This happened last year too in the beginning of the season. They're looping him to the outside. They are literally pushing him to the outside. He's taking his outside rush too far out. He needs to cut it back inside. There was numerous plays when I watched him, and he took himself out of the play by having and like I said, the Arizona offensive line is not that great, and he was literally being pushed to the side. And he did that last year too, and it was so frustrating. And it's one of those things that I watch from the stands, and I've always said this a million times before, and people get mad at me. There is so many more things that you see from the stands, especially from where I sit, from your vantage point, that you will see that you do not see when you're watching it on television. There's so many different things that people say, oh yeah, you just saying that. No, because more than likely the people that try to defend the purpose that you don't see more in the stands than you do on TV are people that never go to football games. I've probably gone to a couple hundred football games since, in my entire life, if not more. And I tell you this, you see more. And what frustrated me last year ad nauseum with Kayvon Thibodeaux was the fact that he just kept getting pushed out. The offensive tackle would literally take him out of the play when he would do an outside stunt by just pushing him further towards the sideline. And he's doing that again. And he's got to learn to cut that shit back in. At the end of the day, like I said, it's a Giant win. We're 1-1, going up against on a short week, staying against San Francisco. This is going to be a different game. This is going to be a horse of a different color. This is going to be something. That's something that we have to watch. Does Brian Daboll not continue to keep calling the plays, or does he turn the plays back over to Kafka? Because we know he didn't really do that. I just said it on Twitter. I said, I'm not calling the plays. I just have a really bad cough. We have to just kind of wait and see what happens. And I think we will. I think, like I said this before, I think, are the Giants going to make the playoffs this year? I've said probably not. Are they just as good as a team as they were last year? I would say they are. And in some regards, they might be better. But the problem is, I mentioned this a million times, the football itself bounces differently. You could get every bounce and every break, and then the next year you don't get those breaks. And those breaks are one or two plays a lot of times are what causes you to win or lose games, and those turnovers and those breaks happen. Will like I said, but are they just good as last year? I think they are. Will they make the playoffs? I don't think they will, because I think there are a lot of really good teams, especially in our own division. And we're already 0-1 in the division, and our competition's already 2-0. But I do think, like I said, I think they're going to have their moments when they're going to look spectacular. And then I think they're going to have their moments where they look like they played against Dallas. And I'm not saying the final 2 quarters were fool's gold. I'm not saying that. Was that pyrite? All I'm saying is this: you can be excited about the last 2 quarters, but you, as a fan and as an intelligent fan, you should remember the first 6. Might do a live stream today. I haven't decided yet. It's like I said, it was a good game. It was a fun game. It was an exciting game. You got to leave it at that. And like I said, we got it. You know what? Like Daboll always says, even after a bad loss, we got to put this to the side and we got to get ready for next week. And next week is here now. And I got him. This is Tim. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell because you want to know why? That'd be awesome.